And what we're seeing is fuel prices going up, electricity going up. We're seeing the train strikes, plane chaos. This is all going to kick in with the effect on tourism going down. So everything will be affected to the point where it will be, humanity will be on its knees. Both UK and US citizens recently received warnings to prepare for possible cyber attacks. In Russia, government websites, news companies, hospitals and transportation have been hit by hackers, and there has been talk about retaliation. There has never been a time where your personal data has been more at risk. What a great time to take action. Head to virtualshield.com, then go to the Downloads tab. Choose Firefox or your preferred browser. Click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. You will be offered a 30-day free trial. Install it, click Connect, and the Shield will turn from red to green. You can now also change your IP, thus offering you all the protection you need. Get Virtual Shield now for free and support this channel by going to the link below this video in the description box. This month they are offering 50% off for life for all free trial signups.
And listen, we're ready to roll with John now. John, we got to get caught up to speed on all the latest that's happening with you. I know you want to talk about preparing for collapse, but then dive more into New Age, which you want to talk about, I guess, a book you've recently read. But how you been doing? And maybe for those who are new to TradCat.net, you can kind of rehash who you are.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for having me on again, Eric. Well, my name's John Kitson. I run 5gawareness.com. You can also find my YouTube channel, 5G Awareness, all one word on YouTube. But if you want to see my uncut videos, then you want to go to bitchute.com, bitchute.com/channel/5G Awareness. And all the goodies are on there. So yeah, feel free to check me out. But I started campaigning against 5G 3 years ago. I ran as an independent in the election for 2019. And more recently, I'm talking about the spiritual side to this. So the New Age, what's going on with that, all this sort of goddess worship, paganism, and end times, because I feel this is where the battle's at, Eric. People need to get a hold of a Bible as well as prepping, for what's coming. But this is where I feel I need to go, because I think we're in that time now where we're in immense spiritual warfare.
Yeah. No, I couldn't say it any better. Before we even dive into, preparing for the collapse or whatnot, I think you've recently relocated. You don't have to tell us, the public where you are, but glad to see that you are off grid. But in terms of the 5G latest news, anything kind of stand out to you? Are you expecting the kill switch to be hit here soon? I know an awful lot of people have been sick, and we really didn't get to talking too much here lately, John, though, but about 3 weeks ago, I was really sick. From what I remember, it was probably the worst sickness I had, over the last 10 years, and I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was like some kind of mutant head cold / allergies. It turns out that one guest this morning I was telling you about is now having similar stuff. So I'm like, are they chemtrailing us? I've seen an awful lot of chemtrailing happening out here lately. I'm wondering if they're sort of preparing us for the fall batch, you know what I mean? The fall batch, or what's the I don't know, man, but I was just wondering how you were doing. Are you hearing similar reports of summer sickness?
Yeah, massive spraying going on here in the skies as well. Even over in Mexico there was. I returned here about a month ago back to the UK. It was never going to be, a super long plan to stay in Mexico for that visit. And, I wanted to come back and get some things done. And I'm currently visiting a friend who's set up off-grid here in just outside of Totnes. So I'm back in familiar ground. And yeah, it's good to be back, But regarding the 5G, a lot of towers, meeting people again, they were saying all through the lockdowns, they're installing more and more 5G towers. And the supermarkets here are bringing in facial recognition from 2023, facial recognition payment system. So in a lot of these supermarkets now, you see these self-checkout points. And the machines, they've ditched the cash. So you actually have to pay, via cashless means. And they have this scanner. And this is what I believe will be used to scan the mark of the beast. I actually believe we're going to see full biblical prophecy play itself out. We're going to see, end time scenario. People will need a physical mark on their hand, and it'll all be using this one world cryptocurrency. This is, and I call it, in fact, a friend of mine who I'm visiting here, his YouTube channel is Primitive Ways, very good channel. And he names the new crypto, he calls it slave coin, which I love because that's what it is. It's an enslavement system. And if you're in crypto, even if you're in precious metals, they could control the selling of that. So, yeah, but I'm back here to catch up with him. He's a great guy. He's teaching me skills, how to live off grid. And I think this is where the future's at, Eric.
Yeah, good stuff, buddy. Awful lot happening in the world. I'm not quite sure, what area you want to kind of break down, but just in terms of the collapse, make mention of some of the latest reports. I know Dutch Bank just came out about a month or so ago saying it was going to get really nasty second half of 2023. Then they kind of come back out and they've moved their timeline forward. I think most countries around the world are now talking about rolling into CBDC by 2023. So if that's the case, the collapse has to happen anywhere between now and then, maybe like the first half of 2023. So it's more imminent now than on the shortage side of things. You've got tampons, sriracha sauce. They're now saying ketchup might be the latest. Gas prices still, even though, it's coming down like 20 or 30 cents, it's still pretty astronomical. I don't know, it's still like around 470 around here. But what did you want to talk about in terms of the collapse and anything specific that you're doing this month to kind of get ready for, never being a part of the beast system again?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm getting familiar with how to live off the land here, which is what my friend's done. He's actually got his whole family off the land. Great guy. And I think it's all about getting used to how to live independently from the system. Because when you're living off the land, when you don't have electricity and they pull this switch, they do this great reset, you're not going to really notice that much. So you want to be as adaptable as possible. And what we're seeing is fuel prices going up, electricity going up. We're seeing the train strikes, plane chaos. This is all going to kick in with the effect on tourism going down. So everything will be affected to the point where it will be, humanity will be on its knees. And we will then see the universal basic income come in, digital currency, and this, these steps towards Agenda 2030. They'll stop people selling gold. So the only thing you can do right now is get as healthy as you can, get animals, get land, get together with people you can trust, and start going off grid and standing on your own 2 feet. But most, I feel that, it's about becoming fully responsible again. But the problem is, some people are saying, oh, we got to find communities, some of these communities. And I can understand that. I went to some meetings when I was in Mexico, people, and, they're trying to form communities. So far, I haven't seen a successful community. And a lot of it is based on New Age principles, which is unsustainable, So a lot of them want to get involved with the tribes or they're vegan, so they're unhealthy. And that's what the push is now, towards veganism, binary, 2 genders in one. This is the Baphomet. And of course, when you're vegan, your strength is down, your brain can't operate to its full capacity. And the highest mineral, the food with the highest mineral content is liver. It's animal organs, which we used to eat a lot more. 3 generations ago, cancer was down 90%, diabetes, all of these diseases, and they're way up because we're living unhealthily. We've got a high sugar intake. But, sadly, Eric, the direction is moving towards this new age now. And I'd really like to get onto this because it's so pervasive, especially in Totnes where I am here. And, you get these know-it-alls, these people with a massive ego, and they're like, oh, we are God, right? We don't need to, the Bible was a control system. It was rewritten so many times. You can't, oh, well, guess what? The Bible was the first book. And when it was first published, it was an illegal act. And John Wycliffe and William Tyndale murdered at the stake for publishing the Bible. And in fact, a lot of our rights, the printing press. Did you know that the printing press came about because of the Bible? That's why it was actually established, so that everybody could have a Bible. The Magna Carta, was actually set up. It was a bishop that got together with barons to get the king to agree on rights for the people. And of course, Christianity abolished the slave trade, so we have all these rights and freedoms. You look at the missionaries. Oh, there's another really good documentary, video presentation. People need to YouTube this. It's called The World the Missionaries Made. The World the Missionaries Made. I strongly urge viewers to watch that. But another recommendation here is a book called A New Earth, An Old Deception. Awakening to the Dangers of Eckhart Tolle's #1 bestseller by Richard Abanes. And this absolutely destroys the New Age, Eric. Which is basically brainwashing everybody right now, So it details what exactly, it looks through these arguments that are being put forward. And it's a very powerful book. And of course, we know that Eckhart Tolle, is a big part of this New Age. He was promoted by Oprah Winfrey, and he stated that truth can only be found by intuition and emotion. So you often hear this, go to your intuition, you can find your truth. But then how are we being manipulated? They're using these fear tactics like global warming and veganism, and it's all through the emotions. They don't want us to analyze. They don't want us to think about anything or make sense of whether it's true or not, and just manipulate our emotions. And in the book of Jeremiah 17:9, it is written, "The heart is deceitful above all things." And Hank Haincraft of the Christian Institute stated the truth according to Christianity is understood with the mind and is then afterwards embraced by the heart. So I think that's quite telling. We have to think. And with everything that's going on, they're teaching us not to think. They're just teaching us to be emotionally reactionary and not using our brains anymore. But it's a really fine book. I just want to read you some sections from this book on page 39 here. You've got this common claim you hear in the New Age. This is Eckhart Tolle. "I know that at the core of each religion there is the truth, heavily obscured in some cases, but it is there." And this basically reads that there is no truth at the core of all religions. All religions might possess certain nuggets of truth, but they also contain beliefs that are mutually exclusive, thus rendering it impossible for any kind of unifying core truth to exist within all of them. And when it comes to the essential truths about God, Jesus, and salvation, the Bible leaves no room for an assortment of Eastern gurus, the Buddha, Muhammad-like prophets, or any contemporary New Age spiritual teacher. And when considering the world's religion, Christianity stands unique for two highly significant reasons. First, Christianity is not founded on any teachings per se, but on a person, Jesus Christ. His life, death, and resurrection are what matter the most, not just what he has taught, in contrast, for example, the Buddha or Muhammad. So, it points out a lot of interesting sort of arguments that are put forward by the New Age. But I see so many people being swept up by this, or, it's all about Christ consciousness. And of course, where do we hear that from? It's all to do with the occult, Eric. So and then
did you happen to catch Francis receiving some Buddhists in recent times? It was over the last few weeks, and on one particular day there was actually 33 Buddhists that showed up, right? 33 in Freemasonry. We all know the significance behind that, but he basically was equating he didn't per se equate Jesus to Buddha, but Francis was basically saying how Buddha was also a great path to peace and all that kind of stuff. And this is what I've been warning in my radio shows. I don't know if you caught my last Andrew Carrington Hitchcock show, but I warned that there's going to be a shift to the east now with the supposed Catholic Church. Again, we believe it's been hijacked. It's a conciliar church. A modernist, he's not really a Catholic, but it's going to shift from the whole Pachymama, like Amazon stuff, to move to the east, because they're now going to start putting up Maitreya Buddha statues everywhere in preparation for the arrival of the Antichrist. And he's got at least one visit to the east planned before year's end, although they're saying he's sick now. He had to cancel one of his. I think he's still going to Canada, so we'll see how that plays out. But and then the other piece too was I mentioned this to Andrew on the program a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and I also wrote an article on this in terms of the trend of trance meditation. I don't know if I want to call them clubs. I think the Antichrist calls them centers, where it's like group transmission meditation. Go and sit down in this room, and like these light flickers will sort of strobe, and you can have like this transcendental experience. But in my humble opinion, Antichrist, Mike Treya is sort of his generic name. He talked about how this would be a trend. It's happening in the UK, in your country right now. And they cited like 5 or 6 major cities. And Andrew did, like, I don't think he didn't believe me, but he went and looked it up himself. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that was going on. So we're seeing the early stages for that, tying in with what you wanted to talk about with the New Age today, John.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, that's the way you see it. It's through this stuff like meditation, they're able to program you. That's exactly what was going on with this doctor in this cult in Mexico that I was talking to you about. They're going to do a piece on it later this year, actually, CBC News in Canada. It's going to be mainstream news. So that's definitely something to look forward to if you're in Canada. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, we're going to see a lot of the churches being infiltrated. It wouldn't surprise me, Buddha's coming up in churches. But, what people need to realize is that Christianity is very unique. It's the only religion wherein salvation comes from God as a free gift of grace. It is for those who believe by faith in his promise to save them. Repenting for sin. And that's the thing. People don't want to believe in sin or judgment. They don't want to believe, there's going to be a judgmental God. Well, or they're like, no, we're not judged. And I'm like, how do you know? How do you know what's going to happen when you die? And it's like, people don't know everything. But this is the whole thing about Gnosticism. The knowing is the way to salvation. And the more I, come across these people, the more arrogant, I find them. I think the thing is, salvation in Christianity is about God reaching down to man and rescuing him out of his hopeless condition. Other religions always bring in some element of man into the equation, some way of self-achievement, whereas salvation is earned, rituals, chanting, self-denial. We see this a lot in this sort of yoga. But, and some other important points I wanted to raise, Eric, is that Christianity is often blamed for historic evils. And the truth is that, no biblical verses would condone the things that are routinely named by people like Tolle, such as, the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, etc., the witch hunts. But, yeah, they really like to go into the witch hunts and really blame Christians, for this time period. But in fact, it was actually less than 15,000 definite executions that were discovered in the whole of Europe and America combined. And men as well as women suffered. So in fact, 20 to 25% of Europeans executed for witchcraft between the 14th and 17th centuries were male. And it's highly prejudicial to blame the witch hunts on the Roman Catholic Church, let alone all of Christianity, because according to scholars, the series of events that developed into the witch hunts reflected a highly complex social phenomenon, like a sort of mass hysteria that gave people to exact revenge, steal property, and do away with weaker members of society. And historians have looked into this, and it's very interesting. But most of the executions were actually carried out by the state. It was the governing authorities. It was not the church. And that most of the witches were condemned by secular courts. So, people really need to look into the history rather than jumping to conclusions. And unfortunately, Eric, this is what's rampant right now in our society, because people just think, oh, yes, Christianity did this and that, and they don't actually research it at a deeper level. So, yeah, but I think what people really need to understand is that we're heading now towards this. We're seeing Hinduism massively promoted now, and this is what Eckhart Tolle is pushing. It's all about Hinduism. It's about the self, and it's about consciousness. He stated your life's inner purpose is primarily to awaken, to be conscious in whatever you do. Your state of consciousness is the primary factor. And this is one of the primary reasons why India, the birthplace of Hinduism, is mired in poverty, disease, and suffering. Because Hinduism is, the religion that Tolle has gleaned from many of his teachings. We are one. We hear this from another a person, a British man who's gone around the world doing big events. I won't mention his name. You might have had him on his show, but he'll say, "We are one, we are all. Everything is frequency." And it's like, actually, no, that's coming from Hinduism. And of course, this is the thing, reaching enlightenment, according to Hindus, is of the primary importance. But this me approach to life is directly responsible for creating an intolerably miserable situation in India, a country of more than 1 billion people. The nation is home to 40% of the world's poor, has a fiscal deficit that is one of the highest in the world, and accounts for over 35% of the world's total illiterate population, and the highest number of street children in the world, because you don't have this love thy neighbor. You don't have the moral responsibility that comes with Christianity. You don't have the moral values. It's all about exploring the self. So, I think we need to look at the effect of these different belief systems in countries worldwide. And if you look at India, only 2.3% of India's population are Christian, yet they are responsible for 20% of all primary education in India, 10% of all the literacy and community health care, and 25% of all existing care of destitute and orphans. So, as well as 30% of all the handicapped, lepers, and AIDS patients. So, this video I mentioned earlier with the world the missionaries made. I believe it's Robin Woodbury. His name might be. I might be incorrect, but he explains that there was a very close correlation with the spread of missionaries around the world and improvement in the quality of life, charity, abolition of the slave trade, freedom of speech, rights. We want our freedom. Everybody in the truth movement, we want our freedoms and rights back, but we need to find out where they came from.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question. Well, here's a few more headlines as it relates to the economic side of the fence. MarketWatch.com saying, should the Fed start selling its mortgage holdings at a loss to fortify its inflation fight? Then you got another one. World Bank president says it's going to be very difficult for some countries to avoid recession. Fed's Bullard says rapid rise in interest rates now is the best way to avoid recession later, right? So interest rates have been creeping up here in recent time. And I'll kind of stop there. You all get the point. But I wanted to ask this in conjunction with everything that we talked about today. We've got a situation here in the United States where there's been an awful lot of shootings. I'm sure you've probably heard of most of them. Obviously, they're trying to take away our guns. Then you had the whole Roe versus Wade situation. Now they're going to be attacking churches. And a lot of Catholics haven't pieced this together. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I know my people understand the bigger picture with what's happening there, right? They obviously want to create chaos before the Antichrist does show up. So everyone is like, oh, everything's moving in the right direction now. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, the Illuminati only allowed this to happen. The New World Order only allowed this to happen, to play into their hands. But my point is, John, since you're over there in the UK, what do you think? Are there different crises or different areas that you're expecting to happen in the UK that might be different than the United States in order to kick off chaos? Or is it just, you think it'll just be sort of the general, hey, we're tired of socialism. Hey, we're tired of the vaccine. Hey, we're tired of bad economics. I mean, is there a specific area that you can think of that we're not aware of that might happen in the UK in terms of people fighting back against their government?
Yes, I think with the vaccine, definitely, because the tiredness of the vaccine. Apparently, there's about 20 million who have not taken even the first shot, and this was actually hidden on a government website. And a further, I believe it's 20 to 30 million who have not taken a second or third shot, like they've stopped taking booster shots. And there's a lot of hesitancy now among the population. I mean, we had 100,000 working for the NHS, standing against mandatory vaccination. So it's going to be very, very difficult, really, for the government to push forward with the vaccines. And not only that, of course, Boris Johnson and the opposition, Keir Starmer, were both partying or drinking or whatever with lots of other people during the lockdown. So they broke their own rules. So there's a real mistrust now with the government. But sadly, we're seeing a lot of corruption, election rigging. I mean, of course, you had that with the Trump-Biden election. We had it with the Scottish referendum, probably happening in the normal elections here as well, in local elections. But people need to make a stand anyway if they have a chance to stand as a councillor in a local election. But I think, the vaccine situation, I think also a lot of people getting upset with the increase in fuel prices, because that's going to affect absolutely everything. All these deliveries, also a lot of people working online. This is another problem now, since the lockdown, people have got used to working online or living off benefits, living off government, state benefits without needing to work. And there are huge shortages of staff now in shops, restaurants, small family businesses struggling along without enough staff. People need to get out and help their family businesses, their mum and pop shops, the small, medium-sized businesses. This is what drives the economy. So people need to keep speaking out about what's going on, but also help to keep the economy going, Eric. It's fundamental. And get prepared for what's coming. Get the tools, get the food that you need, and connect. It's not about creating a big community. It's about connecting with a small number of people you trust, and learning how to live independently from the system and grow food.
Good stuff, John. Appreciate your time. Anything we can help you promote before we let you go?
Sure. So, please feel free to donate at my website, 5gawareness.com. You can contact me on the contact page. Oh, a friend and I are going to be organizing a get-together soon for a 1-day intensive all you need to do to survive course. So we're going to be teaching about how to do foraging, how to light a fire, how to source water, how to grow your own food, how to build a shelter, all the essentials for survival. So if you're interested in that and you're in the UK, contact me at 5gawareness.com. Also, if you want to get money off signing up for VPN, you can do that on my page, as well as sign up for Wise, where you can transfer into different currencies to if you want to do some investing. So, but please feel free to support me there.
Appreciate it, John. And listen, folks, I'm going to do a solo premium podcast next. Then we got Jill Colton. Then we're scheduled to have on Zachary King. Going to be a full day of programming, as always. Until next time, stay safe. God bless. Good stuff, John.